All right, so for today's review, we are going to be taking a look at the new Link Belt 335 Spin Ace excavator in 1:50 scale. Now, this is a relatively new release as of the time of posting this video. This model was available at the 2023 Con Expo. I had a friend go there and pick me up one of these, and we are going to jump into the review here. So like usual, we're going to start off with the detail on the model. So you can see you have a very nicely detailed cab. You do have a nice step here on the outside of the cab, and there is a little tiny step that is metal right there. And you also have a metal handrail coming down the cab, and then as you can see right here, there is another metal handrail up there. You do have an antenna on top of the cab, and I believe this is an air cleaner back here. And then this is the newer style of link belt. So you have the newer style of graphics on the model. The cab door on here does not open up, but you can see that there are some nice detailed lights painted on the front of the cab. And then the inside of the interior is fairly detailed with the name link belt painted on the back of the seat. And while we're taking a look here up on the front, you can see you have some nice hydraulics going to your hydraulic rams, which is very nice. And on the back side of the hydraulics, I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see it, but right there are some simulated hard lines for the hydraulics, which is also a nice touch. Then you also have a bunch of detailing here, I would assume is venting on the real machine. That is a part of the casting, which is nice. And then coming to the rear of the machine, you have the link belt logo right there. And then you have the 335 and some more warning decals on the model, which look very nice. Then you also have another simulated compartment right here. I'm not sure if that's another grill or if that's another cover or whatever it is on the real machine. And then I forgot to mention on this side, basically on three corners of the machine, you have cameras. So you got a camera right there, and then there's another camera over here. You have a nice exhaust. And then we'll take a look at this side of the model. You can see you have a nice set of decals. On this side, you also have another step right here, which is metal. These handrails up here are plastic, so you're going to want to be careful with those. Maybe not put a little too much pressure on them, but they do look very nice. And then you can see you have some nice hydraulic detailing here on the side of the boom, which makes the model look fairly nice, I would say. And then coming to the top of the car body, it's kind of hard to see on camera. You might be able to see it with better lighting, but you do have some anti-slip texture and a lot of bolt detail here on top of the car body. And then you also have a filler cap, which I'm assuming is for fuel. You can see that right there. And then another cool feature about this is you can see that there is a hinge right there, and the engine compartment does open, and you have a fairly detailed engine inside there, which is nice. And that closes down super easy. And just like on some of the real machines, the lifting eyes on the counterweights are painted green. So that is a nice touch instead of just painting them. I believe this is closest color to this is like Ford gray. And then coming to this side of the machine, you can see there are some steps modeled right there, which look very nice. Now, the undercarriage on this machine is relatively detailed. You have some decals right here, and they are also on the exact same side on the other side of the model that are the simulated lift points. So if you, for whatever reason, needed to fly this machine, maybe you're flying it down to a hole or maybe a tunnel project or whatever, that is where you're going to want to be able to hook your chains up to fly the machine. And you have a fairly detailed undercarriage. You have some rollers up here that do have some bolt head details. And then you have your rollers down here, and none of them do roll, but the detail on them is fairly great. And then you can see your tracks do roll fairly easily, and they are spring-loaded, which is a nice touch. So that's really about it for the detail on the model. We can get to some of the functionality on this awesome model. So like most excavator models, obviously your boom's going to go up and down, and the model does spin a 360. Now, one thing to note is I call it a reduced tail swing, or you could call it a zero tail swing, but the counterweight does hang off the back of the model just a little bit right there. But the model does spin a total of 360 degrees. And then your boom and stick obviously have some great functionalities. That is as far as the stick will go out, and then the stick will come in that far. So if you did really want to pose this model for transport, you theoretically could get a nice transport load out of the model. Now, the bucket on this model looks kind of reminds me of a trenching bucket. It's a little small. for this machine, I would say, and it is a little bit loose on my model. I'm going to assume that that is because of the little screws that hold the bucket on. The holes are probably just a little bit bigger, so the screws went through without any issue. So if you did want to customize your model, which I plan to do here in the future, I'm going to be taking this bucket off. But if you wanted to leave the bucket on the model, you can see you have some nice bolt head details there on the cutting edges. And the back of the bucket's pretty plain. It's pretty smooth. There's no wear plating or anything. Just kind of like a generic bucket on the model. But this is how high up the boom will go. So if you wanted to pose the machine working in a tight environment, you could show that. And then we'll do the digging depth here. And this is how far the machine will go down. So you can see that is a relatively very good amount of range of motion for this model. So overall, this, I will say, is a nice model from Link-Belt. It is nice to see that they finally came out with a larger series of zero turn swing or reduced tail swing excavator. Since there's not a very many of them out there on the market, especially when this size. I'm not sure if the 355 is a new series of machine or if it replaced the previous series. I believe the previous series in the Link-Belt lineup, I believe the largest one they had was a 245. I could be wrong, but those are the biggest ones I've ever seen. So I'm not sure if this is just a replacement for the 245 and they decided to rename it to the 355, because I do know that they came out with a new 220, which looks almost identical to the 210 X4. And I'm sure there's some slight modifications and some slight differences with it. So I'm not sure if that's the case with this guy or if this is a whole brand new tonnage of machine for Link-Belt. But previously, this 145 was about the only zero turn swing that we had from Link-Belt or Sumitomo. You could get them in the Sumitomo yellow, or you could get it in the Link-Belt colors here. It's pretty much the same model, just the color and packaging is different. So this was about the only zero turn swing excavator that we had. And I do have to say, I was quite shocked when I got the 355 with the size compared to the 145. I guess I just wasn't really expecting it to be such a large model. And it is, like I said, it is a nice model. So there's a little comparison between the 145 and the 355. Both are excellent, outstanding models. But like I said, I do plan to customize this model here in the future. Funny enough, I actually have a cab guard sitting right here that's going to be going on this model. I'm still trying to debate on some attachments that I want to put on this thing. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put on it yet. So that's something I'm going to be doing here in the future. I just got to finally pull the trigger on something, make up my mind, and go from there. So obviously, if you've been around my channel for a bit of time, you know that the standard bucket doesn't really last too long on models. It generally does come off fairly quickly. As a matter of fact, probably after this review, I'll probably start tinkering with this model and taking it all apart like I normally do. But with that being said, that's about it for this review. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. One thing to note about this model is it was, like I said, was released at the 2023 Con Expo. So generally, I would say about a month or so after the show, you got to give Link-Belt some time to get all their stuff back to their headquarters, which I believe is down in Kentucky. You got to get them, make sure they get all their stuff back before they start popping up for sale for everybody. So if you are looking to get your hands on this model, at least as of the time we're posting this video, you are going to have to wait. Now, if obviously you're watching this video in, a year or so, you're probably going to want to head over to Link-Belt and get this one from them. It's definitely an outstanding model, and I can easily recommend it to everybody. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching.